Good morning. I'm Eliza Petrie. Welcome to Champions of Rural America here on Market Day Report. For more than 30 years, the Congressional Western Caucus has worked to restore prosperity to rural economies while upholding the Western way of life. Congresswoman Celeste Maloy of Utah was recently elected chair of the group, and she joins us now to review some of her priorities in the new role. So thank you for your time, Congresswoman. And speaking of priorities, there is some big news out of Washington today as the Supreme Court has struck down President Trump's tariff trade strategy, as you know. So obviously a lot to digest here, but curious if you have any immediate thoughts on this matter.
Unsurprisingly, I do. I've seen what's going on social media and a lot of the things that are being said, but I think what a lot of people are missing is that this was actually a narrow ruling. The court didn't say tariffs are illegal. They didn't say the president can't be part of the process. They just said that the International Economic Emergency Powers Act can't be used as a justification for tariffs. So we're still going to have tariffs as one of the tools we use to make sure that we're playing fairly with our trade partners around the world, but Congress is probably going to have to be more involved, and the executive branch can't use the IEEPA as a justification for new tariffs. And that's not exactly a repudiation of a tariff policy. So we'll just have to adjust and move forward and make sure Congress is involved and that we have trade policies that make sense.
Sure. And obviously, as this news came down this morning, we've been kind of trying to get all of the information we can and understand what this means. So I really appreciate your legislative lens when it comes to this. But now let's transition more into your background and your journey with the Western Caucus so far. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I have been around Western Caucus a lot longer than I've been a member. I've only been in Congress for a couple of years, but before I was doing anything elected, I was doing public lands policy in southern Utah, and I was attending Western Caucus events. And I'm a big fan of what the caucus does. In fact, when I ran for Congress the first time, I told my constituents consistently that the only caucus I would commit to joining before I got here was the Western Caucus, because it's one of the biggest, one of the most effective caucuses in Congress, and it stays focused on the things that matter in my district and in the places where I've spent my time. And so I'm really excited that I now get to join some legends who've run this caucus, Senator Lummis, Rob Bishop, people who have spent their lives fighting for rural issues and Western issues. And I was a staffer in Congress before I ran, and I was the staffer that covered Western Caucus then. And they go to different parts of the country and really zero in on issues that matter. Maybe it's a really regional issue in a rural part of the United States, and that area would never have enough representation on their own to be able to carry an issue. But when you get a whole bunch of members of Congress who have similar issues and similar values to pay attention to something, then you can get some policies fixed.
So it sounds like you're right where you need to be, which is great to hear. So what are your priorities for the Western Caucus as a whole?
Western Caucus is going to remain focused on natural resources and rural issues. That's the history we've had. I'm not going to change any of that. But right now, we're going around and talking to all the offices that belong to Western Caucus and asking them, what's working for them, what they'd like to see done differently, and what their top priorities are for the caucus. So then we'll have sort of a charter moving forward, maybe not a charter, but marching orders moving forward of these are the things that our members have identified as their top priorities. It'll be things like wildfire and water, mineral production, timber, endangered species issues, land management issues, the things you expect from rural caucus. I had a colleague tell me, rural America will never have a big enough voice until all of rural America speaks with one voice. And that's what we're really hoping to accomplish moving forward, is making sure that those rural issues and resources issues are staying at the forefront and that we're focused in a way that means we can get results instead of just talking about a lot of different things all the time. We're going to have a few things that we're focused on and making sure we have a goal for how we're going to make progress on those things.
Definitely prioritizing rural issues, and you listed off a couple of them and talking about, you don't want to take on too much, but then really focusing on a few of those issues that mean most to our rural communities. And you talked about a couple of them, but maybe expand on one or two that you're really hoping to focus on as important to you.
I mean, right now, a lot of people in government are focused on regulatory reform, permitting reform. What's it going to take to make sure that we can get projects built faster in this country, get approvals for things faster in this country? And I know that affects everybody across America, but it really impacts rural areas. I talk to elected officials in small counties and small towns, and they need to upgrade their water systems or they need to improve a road. And the process they have to go through to get all the approvals, especially in a state like Utah, where most of our land is federal land. They're going through federal processes for things that are, simple routine matters in some rural areas, but in Western states, they become federal matters. And it's expensive. They have to have somebody who has expertise in, federal permitting, and it takes so much time. And while you're going through this process, the projects get more and more expensive. The inputs get more expensive. And so we're focused on a lot of that regulatory reform, and the relevant committees are focused on the same thing, which is beautiful when we have so many members of the Western Caucus on committees that are relevant to the things we're working on, and we're working together. We have a White House that wants to work with us. Then we can make progress on things like permitting reform, but also, wildfire. Everybody's talking about wildfire right now. And while it's raining right now in DC, we do not have enough snow in most of the West. It's probably going to be a dry summer. So we're trying to plan for how we do wildfires better. How do we prevent wildfires with better management? How do we handle wildfires in the cheapest, most effective way that protects life and property? Those are the kind of issues we're uniquely positioned to weigh in on because of our membership and our focus.
Yeah, we appreciate you mentioning the wildfires. It's something that has been top of mind for a lot of our viewers and us as well on Market Day Report this morning. And thank you for giving us a glimpse into what you're working on, and good luck to you as you work in D.C. for the people in the rural community. So thank you for joining us this morning. Congresswoman Celeste Maloy of Utah.